Hello everyone, am I audible? Any message or if you anything on my phone, oh sorry, on my mail or anywhere, then we can get started. I'm a bit under the weather, so I'll speak not very enthusiastically, but I'm full of enthusiasm to talk to you guys. But just if somebody could send me a mail or something and let me know if I'm audible, then that would be of huge help. Am I audible, guys? Got it. So, yeah, I received a couple of mails that I'm audible. So I'll keep it very short, try to wind up within 30 minutes. I've gone through your queries for ethics session as well, and I'll try to cover most of them. A lot of them were outside the scope of today's session as well, but we'll keep it only for GS4. First of all, I'll talk about I have noted down how we would go. So to make it more structured, first we'll talk about what I followed as sources and strategy. So ethics, my scores are 134 in ethics as well, I think, which is considering to this year, which is a good score, I would say. And This is a subject that I liked writing as well. But I had not seen any lectures for ethics. And very personal opinion, I think that you do not require really to watch ethics lectures. Matlab, it's not very conceptual except few things that you would need a lot of guidance in. Matlab, I feel your return on investment is too low when you are going through a class per se for ethics. So that's a personal opinion. And second, initially when I started, so we'll be mostly talking for people who are appearing for 2024. But if somebody's from 2025, you'll get an idea also for ethics. So ethics is a low hanging fruit. It's easier to score better marks as compared to other papers. So ethics, I had initially started with a DK Balaji sir's book, went through it like a novel, did not memorize anything, just read it, and it did not take a lot of time. But then I understood ki what is the subject all about. But then what I understood is that ki it's a subject for which I have to make my own content. So I sat down with DK Balaji sir's book at one places, syllabus at second, her ek topic, like every topic of the syllabus I googled like one topic, and then UPSC ethics, and whatever I was getting the material plus the DK Biology source book, and like 2 3 tabs I would say on as a random I used to get. I made my own notes. So I made my own notes, which I've shared in my Telegram as well, the ethics notes. But for in ethics, we use non-negotiably a lot of examples and a lot of quotations that I had picked up from Jayant Nahata sir's Telegram channel. He had Evernote link for ethics. What he had done, one of the best things I've seen in ethics, he made a table, like all the values associated, and then he had the personal example, professional example, quotation example from bureaucrats. So these he had made a table, and very long table. So I deleted those the personal example, put my own personal examples, and just copied this professional bureaucrat example and quotation. So that was a good way in which I had got a complete set, and quotations alag se bhi had I copied from him. So this is how I prepared my source for ethics, and I just stuck to my own notes and Giant Sir's quotations and examples, copy and everything, plus examples from bureaucrats' life and example from The general good examples and examples from your personal life was mine, and the quotations that he had given I had written. Few of the quotations in which I and his quotations were like different values: leadership, EI, about honesty, integrity, ethics in IR, and so on and so forth, compassion, about love, about peace, everything. At some topics where I found that I did not have quotations, I had used ChatGPT to ask, give me quotations, and so on and so forth for that. So for every value, I had two, three quotations. Well, I think the ethics notes that I have shared, I think that had around 80, 90 quotes, but I had, I think, more than 20, 25 more quotes than that. I have lost my ethics value addition copy. I'm not getting it. I'm not sure where I have kept it, but I really am not very happy with the fact that I've lost it now. But I've done few of ethics enrichment and essay enrichment. I'd have lost that copy. I'm really sorry for that. But ethics base notes, what I've shared, those were my base notes, and few quotations are there. So this was my strategy. So for somebody who's preparing for 2024, I would advise, if you haven't made your notes, please refer a topper notes. It's more than enough. I'm not saying mine, but anybody's that you find. I'm not sure Aditya has shared his notes or not. He has got, I think, 140, wonderful score. So if he has shared his notes, I probably that would be even better, I'm assuming. So any topper notes I would do at this point of time is what I'll say. Because in ethics, you do not require a lot of base content. What you require is an application of that. How you write answers is more important. So that is about the sources for 2024. And for 2025 people, I would advise you to make your own ethic notes from XYZ sources that you can have. But her topic ka you have 2 to 3 pages notes. That is good enough. For strategy for people writing for 2024, you could have a little bit slighter different approach as compared to other GS paper, is that uh, I would strongly advise you to solve PYQs of ethics. If you're not getting time to solve PYQs, I would advise you to at least brainstorm. Like, there are like a lot of PYQ questions which are theme wise. So a theme wise ethics, you pick up 2 3 questions from that theme and just brainstorm. What would be your introduction? What are the different points you'll cover? Usme what would be your example? You might not write in full sentences, but give time. Like time is in 4 minutes because you're not writing full answer. So 4 minutes pe write how will you do. So this exercise you can do. It will take like 30 minutes. May you can do around 4 questions to 4 5 to easily you will be able to do. So do that for an hour or like for half an hour every day for ethics, that you can do brainstorming of PYQs. Or if you want to write 1 2 full answers also, you can do. This is for section A, I am saying. So that is a strategy for 2024 who wants to prepare ethics well. And once you would have read your notes, once you would have read your value addition material, and then do the brainstorming part, it's extremely helpful, I would say. Then we'll talk specific about 3 things. One is section A, which are your general question based ones, 10 marker, the case studies, and third, the quote based questions. First, we'll talk about the section A ones. Section A ones, I would say, ki have an approach. Couple of things for that. Your introduction and conclusion can have a lot of GS content. So a lot of the things you'll write in section A and also in case studies will you will be able to use your GS knowledge in that for sure. But try to bring in the keywords of ethics in all of your points. So if you're writing an answer, what is the ethics of corporate social responsibility? We tend to write about how there has to be pro planet people, there has to be a convergence between business, profit, and environment, how corporate governance has to be done, how you have to give it back, the maximum of reciprocity, where you have to give it back to the society, trickle down approach, everything that you have read in GS. But you use this ethics terms: maximum of reciprocity, pro planet people, um, um, ethical capitalism. So things like this. these phrases are important which make it look like it's a ethics answer. So bring in back whatever you have read, the keywords in the ethics syllabus, like transparency, accountability, dedication, selflessness, compassion, leadership, EI, all those things. Bring in those concepts and use those lens. But your idea would be mostly either very general things or a lot of GS content will be used. So that is one. Second, what I used is that I had, apart from these resources, I said one thing I had followed is School of Life. There's a YouTube channel, School of Life, and they have a playlist called Western Philosophers, where they have explained the idea of the philosophers in 2-3 minutes. And I had made notes out of that. I had kept in the that copy that I'm saying I had lost it. Otherwise, I would have been able to share that as well. But I had made that as a note. So usually we tend to only quote Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, or Immanuel Kant, or Jeremy Bentham. So very limited number of philosophers. But I went on to add, I think more 10 or 12 philosophers more. There's Marcus Aurelius for Stoicism. There's Epicurus. There is Boethius. These people have a lot of good ideas, very diverse ideas as well. So those two lines I had kept written ki what is their main idea and used to quote them wherever it is possible. You can do the same for Indian philosophers also if you have time. And so to make it look like your ethics is a bit more academic, you're not writing very generic answers that every other person is writing. To make it look like somebody from philosophy optional probably is writing this. So that was an add-on layer of value addition which I did, and which I would strongly recommend to you to do that as well. So for section A, I used to use GS content, ensure using the GS content I'm bringing the keywords and the syllabus topics. And third was using philosophical thinkers to quote, not like everywhere, but conclusion में once or twice. This school of thoughts. There is utilitarianism, there is consequentialism, there is teleological theories, there is virtue ethics, there is to stuff like this. So the concepts and school of thoughts or the philosophers' names I used to drop in at relevant places to make it look more academic. There's a way of writing, I feel, for ethics answer, which I had seen in Shruti Sharma ma'am's answer copies for ethics, is that anything you write, and I had this way of writing in all my GS is like, as writing in points. So I'll give a short heading of 2-3 words, make a box, and give a 1 line or max 2 lines explanation to that. But in ethics, I was doing the same thing, but in bracket, there has to be an example or a philosopher's idea, mostly this. So in GS, I used to have this code judgment, statistics, committee recommendations, so on and so forth. But for ethics, I used to have bracket mein example. Examples could be mostly a real life thing, a good case study, or a bureaucrat's case study, example. In worst case, I would give my personal life example, but that was not the priority to give, or give a philosopher's idea. Things like that had to begin. Everything you write, the statement, argument, and an example. But what people have seen do a mistake here is, in while they're substantiating a point, they make the example as the hero. You'll have to make your argument as the hero. The complementing thing has to be the example of it. So if you're writing ki, anything about good governance, let's say, and then you're writing about transparency. So transparency is a point, and say ki transparency helps in so on and so, and then give example of any bureaucrat who has done this, or like any example. You do not give example as a main heading and then write it. That is not the purpose. Examples are a way to supplement your argument, not the actual hero of your argument. Unless the question itself tells you ki explain, illustrate with examples. Then also I feel ki examples thoda become prominent, but arguments are the main hero, is what I'm trying to say. And section A, I'm saying ki there's a lot of questions. How do you generate points, and how do you think, and everything. So there are a lot of approaches for that. The general pestle approach still really helps, but I think the in ethics, the pestle as in the political, social, economical, technological, legal, environmental, those things happen. But one more thing is also happen is helpful by analyzing it the lens from institutions of family, society, marriage, caste, gender, religion, politics, education. These are different institutions, society in general, nation, international level. So these are another dimensions in which you could explore. Another way is ki a lot of your basically your GS syllabus is also one of the dimensions. A lot of people do not analyze, but I think ethics is something that you can always analyze from the point of view of IR, foreign relations, from a lens of globalization, from a lens of war. These are very common themes that where a lot of your topics could be analyzed from terms of corporates, in terms of pressure group, NGOs, civil societies, digital slash technical things, from judiciary point of view. So these were the areas in which I used to bring up more ideas and analyze and draw more number of points. But more relevant points has to be given at the top is what I would say. So this was about more or less about the section A part. And now I'll talk about the quote-based one in section A used to have. I used to write point-wise in every ethics answer except the quote-based one. In quote-based one, I used to write paragraph-wise. So there used to be, I think, 2 or 3 quote-based one. I used to prefer to have introduction. So a lot of my introduction used to be quotes here, because I would have, because ethics may either they talk about any value, virtue, or stuff like that. So I had a repository of quote, and that used to be a ready-made introduction for a lot of them. Similarly, for code-based one, I used to have like different introductions. In some cases, if I'm having a very relevant quote, so I would use that quote to introduce the quote that I have given, or just write key any GS content wise I'll introduce, or just generic introduction I'll have in the third case. And I used to write in a paragraph wise. In paragraph wise also, I used to. It is not necessary that you do political, economical, sociological as well, but we do whatever the relevant places it could be. If there's a topic where you are giving told about perseverance, so perseverance could be seen on an individual level. How through an example, I write just 2 3 lines about some people who would have persevered. Let's say we're talking about Mary Com, or we're talking about any other sports person, or anybody, Thomas Edison per se and all. Then I used to talk about how institutions, organizations make perseverance. That could be, for example, I'm talking about ISRO as an example, what persevered to gain more heights, organization level. I'll talk about some historical references, like how Raja Raman Rai was had a lot of perseverance for social religious reforms and all. Then I'll probably add 2 3 lines about Indian judiciary, how has persevered to bring a lot of changes in the form of starting from Kesavanandi Bharti case to current Nalsa judgment for transgender rights. So, and some political and stuff like that as well. But I would ensure at the end, I would write in contemporary relevance, so and so. So in contemporary relevance today, we have for perseverance, how it is important to have free and fair elections, election commission example, how it perseveres to ensure there's a free or fair elections. So I'll have something on corporate governance and give an example how it is important about sustainability, internal corporations in terms of using the COPs, Montreal Protocol, etc., which are talking about international collaborations, and they're persevering to bring a lot of environmental ethics in place. So, contemporary relevance, I used to give a focus in code based ones and not just use examples and write. So, that is something that you can take note of. So, this and quote, I used to end it with another quote or any value addition material or any philosophical ideas. And this was the section A. For section A, what comes handy is that I had made a 20 things ready. Like, what are the phrases that I can use? Like, there's in Jainism, there is something called Anekantavad, which is basically telling you there's a lot of multiple truths. For like, I have this Madhyama Marga from Buddhism. There is something called by Hannah Arendt, banality of evil, which is basically we normalize evilness, that we do not look down upon that. For corruption, there is a term like by Kaushik Basu where it's talk about Sanskritization of corruption. That means that we kind of do not see corruption as a negative trait anymore. Rather, we kind of are okay with corruption and we have normalized in it. So these terms had made around pro-planet people. So virtue ethics by Plato, golden mean. So this had made a list of these 20 things so that those were internalized and they were easy things to always do a conclusion with, or put in here and there in my main arguments as well. Again, but I had lost that copy. So, but I'm just sharing what I had done. I had a compilation of the diagrams as well, and I use diagrams wherever necessary. In couple of my test series that are given, I had used it more extensively than I had actually done in my actual exam, but I hadn't prepared for the diagrams. If you want to see a diagram, I had recorded one video on how do you not memorize diagrams but would be able to create the diagrams instantly. If you put it ethics diagrams, animash will get a video across that as well, but do not stress a lot about diagrams, I would say. uh, but those help, diagrams help to break the monotony. Nobody's telling you to put diagrams in 13 questions of the 10 marker. You can put 1 2 diagrams so that examiner is not bored, or but relevant diagrams is what is important. So this was mostly for section A. And section, I'll just tell also the time division. Ethics may, it's extremely painful to complete the paper, but I completed the paper. I was able to complete papers for all the GS and optional and essay as well. But ethics was the toughest to complete because you're already physically exhausted. You would have written essay and 3 GS paper back to back. You would be physically exhausted. So do a lot of answer writing practice for Gs4. And Gs4 has, you have to write a lot. So I used to do section A first and section B second. This is also something that I had heard somewhere. Shruti ma'am mentioning that she had given equal importance to both of these, and I had done the same. 90 minutes for section A, 90 minutes for section B. I would say sometimes 5 minutes thoda zyada hota tha for section A. And I used to, matlab, now you'll have to write like less than 7 minutes. Earlier it was okay to write for GS every 10 marker for 7 minutes, but yahan pe 10 marker you have to write less than 7 minutes mein. Matlab 6 minute 30 seconds should be the goal. And yeah, in ethics also you'll have to write full sentences and everything too. So it was difficult, but you have to do a lot of practice for that. So 90 minutes for section A, 90 minutes for section 2. The case studies one. We'll talk about case studies. I could not solve a lot of case studies because I did not probably have time, and second, I felt that, matlab, to be fair, there's a lot of ऐसे hype up करके रखा है कि यार like case studies है, there's ethics के भी lecture बेच रहे हैं, and like I mean, no offense, but I feel it is कि these things are blown out of proportion. कि case studies is well, if you know the drill, like if you somebody tells you how to solve it, you take 1 hour session or 1 hour anywhere you find it, then you'll get the drill how it is done. Or if you just go through 10 topper ethics copies, you will be able to understand how to solve the case studies. So case studies is, I'll say, is that try to make your case studies structure bit different. In all of these case studies, we'll have, I think, 6 case studies. So try to make bit of differences in those. But introduction, conclusion, use your GS content, I would say, or the philosopher's content, or your section A content. So if there's a case study on online bullying, let's say, so, or any sexual harassment against women, so I would use any of my GS content for that. as an introduction, any statistics, code judgment, so on and so forth. And then we'll, with that, I'd say ki reintroduce the case, and whatever the question would have given, then I'll write the A, B, C, D, A, B, C, whatever case study is given. And so in some questions, I'll do the stakeholders involved. In some cases, I'll not do the stakeholders involved based on key. If there's a 20 marker and there are only two sections, then probably I'll do more deep dive stakeholders and everything. And if there's a like 4 questions, 3 questions, then I might not. So every structure was different. So I was trying to answer what is asked. So if it's asking what are the different course of action that the X person can do, so I'll just write key can different course of action, pros and cons for that. A lot of tables I used. Then if there's a course of action is there, then I have to also do a flow chart. Ki if taken A, then what would be the consequence? B, C, what would be taken? Then probably do ki whether this is right, yes or not. So a lot of flow chart also I would do. It saves up a time and also gives you a logical idea that what are to arrange your idea in a good pictorial way. That was also helpful to do flow charts and diagrams as well for a couple of places in case studies. And when it is asked that key, what are the things that X person can do, I would take a very ethical stance, very unethical stance, and two more middle grounds. Like middle grounds, but kuch variation ke sath I'll take it. 4 or max 5, I would say. I take grounds, and if it asked you what is the final course of action that you would actually take, then I would take. I will write the answer, which is a more ethical standpoint. I would say that there's no like you have to be practical, but you have to be ethical as well. A lot of people will write very practical answer ki nahi, if there's a question corruption will say ki nahi, it's okay to be corrupt. No, it's not okay to be corrupt. That's the paper is. That's the paper has taught you that no, like the school of thought, like you'll have to use school of thought of utilitarianism, teleological thoughts. So you write the ethical answer that you'll go by ethics is what I would say. And if not asked, I'll not write what is the course of action I'll take. If asked, then I'll do. In 2023 paper, and a lot of questions they did not ask if finally what would you do. And yes, the school of thoughts are important, like utilitarianism and teleological ethics, and there are a lot of schools. And my notes will see there are 2 pages of different schools of ethics. I used to use the school names at least, and use that in a lot of places, both section and section B, and you can use your knowledge of section A to conclude a uh, case study. The best case is taking Madhyama Marga as told by Buddhism, or by taking Aristotle's golden mean. So, but har kisi mein you cannot write golden mean, right? So you sometimes you write by utilitarian philosophy, it's imperative, but teleological school of thoughts, by virtue ethics, these are the characters important. So use your section A concepts, the philosophical ideas or these phrases that I was talking about for your conclusions. And even when you're giving the arguments in your case study, also bracket may just put this school of thought, this philosopher's idea, things like that, virtues of that, values of this has to be shown. So make it more ethics wala answer and not a general case study you are following. So yes, so this is how case study I followed, and I used to take 14 minutes or 15 minutes for solving one case study. One thing I would advise ki, for 2024, when you'll be getting your paper, I used to not read section A at all and would directly dive into case study. And I'll write section A first. Let me just clarify. I wrote section A first and then section B. But for the last 5-10 minutes that you get to go through the question paper or so, us time I used to go through, because case studies are very lengthy to read. So I used to go the case study first and then see what are the well, like basically make myself acquainted with the case study first, and then I would go write section A, and then I'll come back in section B. I'll have marked some points here and there, then I'll do. I'm not sure if marking is allowed or not, but a lot of people do. So be careful with that as well. So yes, so this was about the how I went about the case studies, but had not really honestly not prepared a lot of case studies. When I'm seeing also PYQs and all, I had brainstormed and wrote answers. I did mostly for section A. And philosophical knowledge, that I said that you can use a lot here. For tests, I wrote again. I Since I was enrolled, I wrote my test at Civils Daily, and Abhyas had given at Vision Eyes. So these were my tests and PYQs I did, which I did not get it evaluated or say, but I just did for my own practice. One more thing in ethics is I will strongly advise is every day at least go through one ethics copy and see how they are writing. Like um, uh, one at least, it will take you hardly 20 minutes. If you're getting any good stuff, just that note that down. You'll get a lot of examples also. You'll get a lot of quotations, a lot of how you are writing, how they're using their existing knowledge in ethics. Is that is important. So ethics is all about how you present that idea, and using a lot of value addition materials by examples. Use a lot of bureaucrat example, use a lot of quotations, use a lot of anecdotes and case studies, and ensure that your examples could be a bit more unique. Like everybody gives example of TN Session, everybody talks about Armstrong Pame, Durga Shakti Nagpal. Try to bring in better ones as well. I see ki ek Better India karke, there's an Instagram page. I remember they used to post about a lot of these good bureaucrats examples. Every year there are bureaucrats who get good governance awards and stuff like that. So I used to mention, collect examples from there as well. Collected a lot of examples. Jain sir ke notes se to I did, but from also as a topper copies, as I'm mentioning, I was also going alternate day mein, whenever I was getting time, just to skim through toppers copies as well. Ethics and essay especially. To ethics, I used to pick up things from there as well. So this is how I think we covered most of the topics for ethics. If you have doubt, I'll give you 2 3, will take 2 3 minutes to, if you have any doubt, fill in that form. I'll take more 5 minutes to answer if there's any specific question that I have not given. I'm a bit under the weather, but I have a lot of traveling to do this week. So I thought I'll take this session and not delay it anymore. You can give in your queries if they're and not covered, especially for GS4. You can write it down in that Google form. I'll give. I will read for 2 3 more minutes. I very surprisingly have gotten a lot of queries. Ki, what's up these days? What are you doing? Like multiple of them, which is very rare. But to say that I uh, I probably, more than what I want to share with the aspirants, I have already a lot of things to share with next year's topper. I have a note that I would like to give him or her, that what not to do after the results are announced, and if you are one of these toppers. Last few couple of weeks have been extremely draining, to be honest. Can you share your evaluated ethics copies? Yes, I will. I'll share, I think, couple of my FLTs as well. But Usma, I think there is one ethics copy. You can see one of my ethics copies at Abhyas. Abhyas, since I had written exactly 15 days back, and I think I was either the top scorer, the second top scorer in ethics at Abhyas in Vision. So I think my that test went well. So you can see that for reference for sure. But I'll share my copies. When you are going to Labasna, we are looking forward to the dates, but tentatively in second or third week of August. Dimensional answer writing, I shared it. Like you do the pestle approach or institution approach, or this generalized themes like the uh, organizations, individual, society, gender, caste, or education, polity, religion, through this lens, globalization, war. So this school of thoughts, or through different school of thoughts of philosophy. There's school of thought of utilitarianism, consequentialist. There is idea of teleology. So things like that. We're using Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. So school of thoughts is also very important, through which you can do our dimensions. Do you think we need academic answer in all GS papers, like quote scholars in all GS papers? Need to nahi hai, but I used to try to make it to give get an edge, but nahi ho pata tha a lot. I had used a lot in society because of sociology, bit of in ethics because I had prepared, but this was a very last minute thing I started doing, so nahi ho paya. Can you please share Aditya sir and Jayan sir Telegram channel? Jayan sir, I had shared in my own channel. Aditya's channel, I think you should not find any issue. Aditya, I'm talking about Aditya rank one this time. I think Aditya Srivastav, you'll Google, you'll get it. Just a reference, I think he had shared a lot of his test copies recently, so that group is the actual group. Sociology will conduct one session. What standard books for ethics I should learn for next attempt? Yeah, you can give it a look at DK Balaji sir's book since I had read it, but I would suggest you should make your own notes. YouTube channel that is saying School of Life. There's a channel called School of Life. There's a playlist called Western Philosophers there. You can check Indian philosophers too. Scoring between 107 to 108 in test series vision. Please share something about your marks in test series. In ethics, since I had written in Abhyas, I had scored 115 or 116, I can't remember. But that was the highest score that I had given in Abhyas for ethics during that time. So I'm assuming 107 is a good score. So do you use lexicon for ethics? I have not gone through lexicon, but extremely popular resource. Telegram channel, Jayant Nahata. General frameworks for GS4 is that go through a lot of school of thoughts that you will get through this school of thoughts. You can if you do not have content also, you can use your common sense but fit into a more nuanced way. Use a lot of your the GS knowledge and use there as well, but add in whatever the syllabus ko yaad kar lo ethics can use those concepts here and there. How long did it take to decrease answer time from 13 minutes to 630 minutes? So malab, this was 10 marker. So 10 marker I used to write in 7 minutes for GS. So I was not writing 13 minutes. It was 7 minutes. I had to reduce to 7 minutes to 630, which was a task, I would say, but had to do it. Like बहुत fast लिखना पड़ता था. Pen, I wrote 10 rupees octane um of I think I have the 1 second. This, yeah, this is the pen, Octane 10 rupees blue gel pen I had used for mains. Should the course of action we take in case studies be backed by examples like always, or with school of philosophies? So course of action that you say, it has to be very practical. कि उस exact case study में what has been asked. Bracket में you can write if you're getting any school of philosophy. I don't think examples you can quote in what course of action. If there's a course of action that a DM is taking during rally management or something, so you'll have to tell ki this is what you can do, that is you can do, but not give examples. If there's a very relevant example or a court judgment or something on that, you can just mention it, but not get a lot of scope for using examples. But you can use a lot of school of philosophies जहाँ पे relevant है. What was your mindset bit 5 to 30 minutes before giving GS4 paper and exam day? Honestly, I just wanted to get done with this paper because extremely tired. I just wanted to go back home and sleep. Sir, good answer writing program and mentorship, please, apart from civils daily. Um, I can't comment on the ones in which I have not enrolled, right? But I think Aditya has mentioned somewhere that I have come across and talked to him that He was a part of some daily answer writing as well, which was probably free. I'm not really sure. So that is something that you can look into if somebody is looking for something uh, there. Should I practice daily answer writing for GS or only doing FLTs are fine? Either ways, I was only doing FLTs at this point of time and some PYQs brainstorming for ethics. Can I follow Forum IS Redbook? If you're asking for ethics, I don't know about Forum IS Redbook. Forum in general is told to be a good institute for content, but I have no idea about them. I have not gone through the Redbooks, but stick to any one resource, I would say. Topper copies you referred? A lot of it actually. I mean, last year I think Garima Lohia had a lot of good score in ethics. So saw her copies. Ishita Kishore's copy I had seen. I had seen Vishakha Yadav ma'am's copy as well because she had scored in 160s. So her copy, a lot of copies. Whatever I had used Vision and used to see. How much quotes did you memorize? Roughly 120 plus. Better India, yes, Better India is in English, but they have a Hindi version as well. When should you start ethics preparation? If you're a beginner, I would say ki do it at least before you're starting your exclusive prelims preparation. It would take you around 15-20 days to prepare. Free answer correction platform. I'll have to check. I'm not really sure if there's anyone. Should we make ethics or mainstream at syllabus wise? Yes, ethics to for sure. You can use a lot of chat gpt for quotations and the school of thoughts and everything, or use the school of life also. I'm saying is what you can do is that um any the transcripts you get for that topic, like if you let's say there's one random video talking about Marcus Aurelius theory, it's a 6 minute video and you do not want to spend the 6 minutes, copy the transcript, put it in chat gpt, ask him summarize this in 3 lines, and you just remember that those 3 lines, you will get the idea of Marcus Aurelius. So use chat gpt for a lot of summarization and giving you content quotations and stuff. That is helpful. I think I covered most of the ones. Sir, any memory technique plus quotes, judgments, itna? I mean, if you do it more, apply it in test series, you will get it. Like it does not happen in one day, I admit. But I had have gone through my notes like n number of times. That's how I got it internalized. Sir, my option is PSR. Is that enough for ethics? No, absolutely not. Ethics has a different demand altogether. I think we'll stop here, guys. I'm not feeling well as well, but it's on me that I will share my GS3 for sure, economy for sure, and my test copies as well. I'm trying to do all my Samachar Manthan as well as my FLTs all together. But if not possible, at least the FLTs I'll do it as soon as possible. Art and culture, if somebody is willing to help and scan my copies, a copy or a note of art and culture, I'll be very thankful, but I'm not getting time to scan it. But otherwise, ethics is a good paper. Please give some importance to it and uh, do well in ethics is what I will say. Thank you, everybody. Good night. This is recorded. I will share the recording here as well. Bye bye.